Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Elevate Your End Game with your host, Cameron Nichols with Coach with Cam.
And Megan Wing with the Career Fulfillment Initiative. Hey, everybody.
Woo-woo. We hope you're having a great week. This week, we wanted to talk about something that we've been hearing a lot about with our clients and something that Megan and I have really had to sit down and try to figure out and master ourselves.
Yes.
For success. So this week we're calling it Work Smarter, Not Harder, because essentially we want to teach you how to evaluate what's happening in your life, the results that you're getting, help you evaluate so that you can make the choices that you need to make in order to get the actual results that you want, right? Because it's not just kind of like a one and done, I decide it's going to look like this, therefore the result is automatically going to look like this. Right?
Exactly. And this process for evaluating is critical to do, because if you don't evaluate, what happens is the definition of insanity. If you do one thing time and time again, expecting a different result, guess what happens, folks? You get the same result and you end up driving yourself crazy. And so evaluations really are the trick to making sure that you are using your time and energy, if we're being honest, wisely.
Yes. It's all about the scientific method, right? You have
Yeah.
a hypothesis, you test it, you evaluate, you tweak, form another hypothesis, and you just keep going.
Yes. I actually had one of my clients, I was talking to her and she was like, it's like trial and error. And I was like, no, it's like trial and evaluate.
What? That's amazing. Trial and evaluation.
So
Love it.
Cam, what is the evaluation process? Tell us about it.
Yeah. So the evaluation, it is what's working, what didn't work, what didn't go according to plan, and what do we want to try differently? Like if we were to break it down into the three things, like that's the barest of the bones, right? Is there anything you would add to that, Megan?
The only thing that I do add is writing 5 things that you've accomplished before you even get into what's working and what's not working yet and what you can do differently. And here's the reason. I have found, and there's a book called The Science of Happiness, and it talks about how, as a human species, we are programmed to think negatively because it helped us with our survive. It helped us to survive. Thank you, brain. So what happens is for every one negative thought, they've done studies and it says that there are 5 positive thoughts that you need to replace the one negative thought. So if you're doing an evaluation and you are thinking about all the things that aren't working, what happens is you get into a negative tailspin and you can only focus. It's a downward spiral, essentially, what you're doing during the week. Now, what happens is if you get stuck in a downward spiral before you go and evaluate what's working and think about the things that you've accomplished, you lose sight of the things that are working. And what happens if you don't see what's working, then it's almost like history. It's like if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. You forget the things that are working. So, like, one of the things, like for me, it's like I know that working out in the morning is the best thing ever for me. I know that is extremely helpful for my body, for my mind. And when I moved to Winston, my brain was like, let's do lunch workouts. Let's work out at night. It's like something I knew was consistent, reliable, knew that it worked, and I switched it. Why? Because I didn't evaluate effectively to know that it was something that was working that I should keep. You've got to keep the stuff that's working before you change the stuff that's not.
Amen to that. Well, and it's really important because like what you said about if we're not evaluating what's working, we quickly lose sight of it. But then also what I've noticed is I lose sight, like tweaks that I make aren't as effective because I am so focused on making it work. And so like, not only am I blind to what's actually working, like it limits my options looking to the future. Like, how can I tweak it in a different or better way to get an even better result? So it's like you kind of block your own wisdom.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so here's an example of what happened when I was teaching before I knew this evaluation system. And for those of you guys that have followed us, we call this Friday hour done because a lot of times people can do this on the last hour of your work week. So I used to stay at my elementary school until like 8 o'clock at night or later. I would do my work, I would teach the kids during the day. And then at night, I would get caught up in all the things that I needed to do for the next day. I like used to think about it like it's almost like I have to write the play for the next day, and all day I'm just performing. And I couldn't figure out a way to get my grading done. It was really, really difficult. And what happened is I started evaluating and I realized that grading writing got pushed every single week. And what would happen is I would end up grading with report cards at the very end of the quarter. The kids didn't know what grade they had got. They didn't know why they got the grade that they got. And I hadn't given any real feedback in the moment. And I realized that's not serving me, it's not serving them, and I'm not communicating their grade to their parents, which are three crucial parts of the teaching and evaluating process for them. So, what I realized is that I had to change my plan, just like what Cam was saying. I was blocking my own genius by just saying grade writing every night. And I was like, I do reading groups every single day. I'm just going to trade a reading group for a writing conference on Wednesdays. So Wednesdays just became writing Wednesdays. The kids would bring their work to the writing group instead of a reading group, and I would grade it in front of them in real time. And I would have them make edits with me so they could learn. And then I would get the grades in my grade book simultaneously and send that work home with them so their parents were involved. And like, I'm serious, like that's one of the things that like people were saying, like I ended up getting my national boards and like doing some things across the state. And they said that that thing I did with my writing groups was one of the most effective ways to do things as a teacher because they're getting the feedback in real time. They're hearing me. We're talking through it. And I literally think that's like part of the reason why I got teacher of the year that year. So it's like, you know what to do. You know that like having their students see your work is going to help them. So you just have to think about a way that you can make it work. And if you don't leave room for the evaluating time, what happens is you lose out on all of this genius, like you were saying, Kim.
Yeah. Well, no. And I love that story
Mhm.
with your students. So like, as you're saying it, I'm like basically on a very parallel story in my mind
Mhm.
about leadership and my employees and like
Yes.
working with them on their development and communicating the feedback of where they're at and where I think they're at versus where they're at. And
Uh,
like it followed that so perfectly. And yeah, because it really does come down to like when you think about it, you're at work, right? You are the employee, the boss, whatever. I mean, if you're at work, like even I consider myself, even though I'm the CEO of my business, like I'm still an employee, right? I
yeah.
still got to give myself feedback and all that jazz. But it's like when you really evaluate the work that you're doing, why are you not spending time on the good things?
Mm,
Like if you're not spending time on the good things, it's basically like everything is bad,
hmm.
right? Sorry, I know that kind of took us a little off topic, but like
No,
as I was
that
going,
lands.
as you're going through that story, I'm just like thinking back and because like when I was first a leader, yeah, it was all about giving feedback and it was
Hmm.
constructive feedback because it was supposed to help them,
Hmm.
right? I was helping them evaluate,
Yeah,
but it's completely different
exactly.
if someone evaluates for you rather than you evaluate yourself.
That's a great point. Yeah.
I think that's what I was trying to say.
No,
My
but
little
I like
tangent.
if you, well, and with the grading thing, I was like, I'm getting my everything else done. So it was like when I was evaluating, I was like, writing is, or it's like science I'm grading, math I'm grading, like the reading groups are getting feedback back in the reading groups and they know what grade I'm giving them. So I was like, what is not working yet? But it's like I only was able to do that effective evaluation clearly because I was like, oh, what's working is reading groups. And I was thinking reading groups always work. Like mine work like clockwork. The kids know what they're doing. I ring a bell. Like it was like so streamlined. Like it was insane. And so I was like, if reading groups are working, I don't want to change that, but I do need to like maybe I could do writing groups like I'm doing reading groups. And that's how that idea formulated. in my mind, you know?
Well, it goes back to playing on your strengths,
Yes.
right? Because again, like we can focus on our weaknesses and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're just going to continue to struggle. But when we truly focus on our strengths, we figure out the process that works for us. And then when you're working in a team, when you focus on everyone else's strengths and allow them to like really contribute in a way that fits their strengths and you for vice versa, like that's when you have successful progress, successful
Yeah.
project, successful work. You
And
have to
it,
focus
mhm,
on what is working and what you're good at.
mhm,
No, you don't have to be 100% in every single aspect. And I think I know at least a lot of my clients as introverts, they're the people pleasers, the perfectionists, got to do it. There's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. And it
mhm,
really comes down to B minus work in your strength. Notice what's going well.
mhm.
Make that start to fit in other places.
And like to your point of the B minus work, a lot of my clients, so like I do this as the first thing I do when a client meets with me. And so a lot of them are like 5 things I accomplished. I didn't accomplish anything. And I would say that when you are thinking to the accomplishments, to your point, it's like even the little things count, the little moments when you are finding a strength that you didn't realize before, when you're figuring out what's working, that is an accomplishment. Just understanding how to see your strengths in and of itself. And so that was a really good point.
Yeah, well, it's so funny because I was doing my subconscious confidence course, and I was co-facilitating it, and my co-facilitator asked everyone like, name your top 5 strengths.
Mhm.
For some people, it was really easy. For most people, it was really hard. And it was the same way when I would ask that of my employees too.
Yeah.
It's
And
like
so, mhm.
they don't focus on it.
And it's almost like by doing these evaluations, I do this, we both do this every single week to make sure that every week we get better and better. And if you can start, it's almost like you are retraining your brain to, if you're like, oh, I accomplished 5 things every week, it shifts your self concept or the way that you view yourself instead of being like a person who is like, oh, I don't have accomplishments, I don't have strengths, to your point, is like, then you see yourself as a person who accomplishes things and you get to see your strengths so much more clearly.
Totally. And
Yeah.
also know how that plays into how you think about time.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
yeah.
how many of us, I mean, I swear this is what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, right? It's like
Mhm.
there's not enough time. There's so much things that we want to do.
This is how you make more time.
Yeah.
You learn from your mistakes and you grow from it. And I wouldn't even like, it's like I have a phrase that, like I said, it's like there's nothing in my life that's a mistake. It's like nothing is a mistake. It's just an opportunity to grow. You're either learning or you're earning, either or.
Learning or earning. Ooh, I
Mhm.
like that.
Right? That's a good one.
That is
But
a
like,
good one.
I mean, and I'm crazy about my evaluations. Like, I evaluate not only after each week, but I evaluate like I'm doing a webinar next week. I evaluate after every single webinar, every presentation that I do, every consultation that I do. Like, I am crazy about the way that I evaluate because I see the value in it. And I know that each time I evaluate, I get better and better and better. And if you like, I did this other webinar last month and it was like each week I could feel myself improving because I learned from it every single time. And I think it's
Yeah, it's
helpful.
like it's it's the price of discomfort or
Mm,
growth. Oh my gosh, what's the saying? The
the price
price
of,
to growth is discomfort. Is
yes,
that right?
it's like the currency. Oh, what does Brooke say? She says, discomfort is the currency to your dreams.
Thank you.
Like the currency, the currency. It's like, yes. But that's the trick, guys. If you can figure out how to evaluate effectively every single week, what's going to happen is your work will get faster and easier, and your life will be more fun. So do that.
Oh, yeah. Summarize 4 steps, right? 5 things you've accomplished. What you're doing well, what's working. what's not working, what didn't go according to plan, and how are you going to tweak it.
Love it.
All right, my friends, that is all we have for you this week. So remember, as always, shining bright gives others permission to shine as well. Take care.
Oh, and also really quick before we go,
Yes.
I was like, I had a quick plug. Remember, like we did last week,
Yes, I completely forgot.
your meditation, the people, I want you to like tell more people about the meditation. But today when this airs on the 21st, I'm doing a webinar at 7 p.m. So if you click on the link tree in the bio of this
Show notes.
in the show notes, what you'll see is a webinar registration, and I'm doing it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. And if you are joining this like and it's years from now, feel free to email me. My email is on my link tree as well, and I'll send you the recording of this because I'm going to teach you evaluation along with making your calendar and breaking down your results. And I think that's going to be insanely helpful for you to make more time in your life.
You guys, Megan has shown me like little pieces of it, and it's going to be fantastic. So register or miss out because it's good stuff. And then, yeah, like on my website, coachwithcam.com, you can click the link in the show notes for my stuff. But it's a 5-minute guided meditation to help lessen anxiety and overwhelm. It can really work with any emotion, but it seems like anxiety and overwhelm are kind of the stuff that are really holding people back right now. And so this teaches you how to feel that emotion so that you can actually move forward. So it's like a backpack, like, right? You just carry the emotion with you and it's okay versus like you trying to push a boulder up a hill.
Beautiful.
Boulder, pebble.
You
I'll
guys
work on my analogy for next time.
No, but that totally resonates. And definitely check out Cam's website. He does all of the tech for our show, and like it's just so aesthetic and beautiful. So even if you like for the meditation, but also for like the aesthetics, check it out. It's awesome.
It's funny you say that because I'm redoing it again.
But I love
it's getting
it.
better.
It's
getting better. It gets better every time.
Because you're evaluating it. You're learning every time.
Yes, precisely.
I love it.
All right, friends, take care.
Right. Stop recording.